Welcome, everyone, to Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project, and GateWorld.net, your complete guide to Stargate. We are doing another simulcast with Darren, and I'm trying to flip my switches in real time here, so I do apologize, just getting everything ready. We really appreciate you guys joining us midweek here. The Stargate uncanceling, we're trying to get this thing uncanceled. The Save Stargate campaign is in full swing, and I am with Darren Sumner of GateWorld and James Kerfoot of SaveStargate.com. Did you launch SaveStargate.com, James? No, you launched the campaign. You launched the GoFundMe.
I did create the GoFundMe, yes, but this has been a community project.
Exactly.
There's so many people involved.
It's been amazing. It's Hellcats, one of GateWorld Discord's moderators, launched SaveStargate.com, which kind of became the hub for the campaign efforts.
Hellcats.
But James, you've been amazing, kind of leading the charge. Guys, James is the one who started the GoFundMe that raised money for the flyover of Amazon MGM Studios in Culver City, California, which was 2 weeks ago now.
About a little bit over. Yeah.
You're moving so quickly. And you just came back from New York. I'm not gonna hesitate getting to that. What was that like, man?
It was a lot. I've only ever been to New York once before, and it was intense. It was as much of a hurry as the LA event, but I felt like it was very humid there. It was exhausting. So it was funny because the day before the weather was so nice. The weather was perfect.
Of course.
The morning of, it just had to be humid as it could be. And it was, and then it rained on us. So.
Oh, really? At Times Square?
Yep. It rained about a little over halfway through when we were planning to do this. So 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And, we had to kind of adjust the plans, but got to do what you got to do.
How long did this image run at Times Square?
So it wasn't just that one; it was actually 2 billboards. And
right, I'm just getting to this one first.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. So they were both all day, once every 15 minutes or so, 4 times an hour, and each for 15 seconds. Yeah.
All right.
I liked that.
That was terrific. Try the paddles. Nice. Uncancel Stargate. How many folks turned up?
It was around. So we had people show up late, and we had people who had to leave early. So it looked like less than it was, but it was around 15 people total.
Okay, great.
So similar to the LA event. However, I do think it's important to stress that America is not the epicenter of the Stargate. Yeah, it's not as big here in America as it is overseas. Over in Australia and Canada, in Europe, it's much bigger. So that doesn't upset me that we only have 15 people at each location.
Yeah, we're also really spread out here. And when the campaign gives folks 4 or 5 days notice, we're going to be in Times Square this hour, come find the banner.
Right.
It's fantastic to get fans to turn out. And I've read stories online about people who traveled, people who got in their car and drove 9 hours to be there.
Yep. And America's such a wide country. It makes sense that you're going to have trouble getting people, activated this quickly and moving this quickly. But
was there a concern? Was there a concern about moving that fast for that very reason? To
a little bit.
To want to make sure that you mobilized enough and got everything that you needed.
Yeah, a little bit. I do think the LA event. I feel bad about that because I feel like I rushed that, but that was just the start. And the trajectory now is, I think we have to kind of work with the schedule and fit everything along the lines with Comic-Con, because that's going to be towards the end. That's not the next event, but the event after that. So we're kind of escalating things as we go. So I think it kind of had to fit with the schedule.
I have to say, Darren, have you been looking at the Amazon MGM socials? The amount of feedback that I've been seeing from the Stargate fandom. I mean, just let me pull this up here. I just pulled up now the Facebook page for Amazon MGM. July is booked and busy 16 minutes ago. Gary Alexander, well, could we add a new Stargate series to the list? Hello, Amazon MGM. Anyone listening? 4 hours ago, Emergency Bruiser. I'm going into this cold. Emergency Bruiser delivery, Elon Prime. Timothy McCalley, we need you to deliver Martin Garrow Stargate.
L is another legacy IP MGM property.
Yeah, we want Martin Garrow Stargate, SaveStargate. I mean, it is. I'm not cherry picking. Look at this. And I'll show you guys X in a minute.
Really
X is even worse.
It illustrates how activated Stargate's fan base is over this cancellation news and the hope of uncanceling Stargate, yes, but at the very least letting MGM know that we're not cool with what they've done. It's really remarkable, and it goes to show, right? James has been leading these activities on the ground, these events, to get attention, to get eyeballs on the message that we want to save Stargate. We want Martin Garrow's Stargate show back. But for folks who can't show up in Culver City or Times Square or San Diego Comic-Con later this month, they're so energized online, all over social. And for a lot of Stargate fans, it's paying attention to everything that Amazon MGM Studios is doing and just staying in their face, staying in their feed. And making sure that they know that Stargate fans are not going away.
Yeah, it's just I am so oh my, there's Vala. The gamification of this has been amazing, and I've really moved into a different headspace. I don't know if you guys can feel the same, but the fact of the matter, I really feel like we've gotten out our lawn chairs and have just sat down because everyone's getting cozy, knowing that we're not going anywhere. This is
we're occupying their socials,
and it's not malicious, it's not mean-spirited. You are going to find the occasional asshole, but you know what? If you're looking for those people, then fine. But however, that is not the broad spectrum. I mean, for crying out loud, look at that. You know, this is just great stuff. Whoever designed this, this is just chef's kiss. And we're going to be around for a while. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
If they think it's interesting now, wait a few months, because we have nothing but time. That's not that.
We certainly don't have just Stargate to watch.
Right.
So, James, what is this like watching all this? Do you feel like you've been caught up in a whirlwind here?
Yeah. I certainly didn't expect any of this to happen to this extent. It was when I set up the GoFundMe, it felt like a real long shot. And I did not expect it to blow up like this. The initial target was 4,500 for the GoFundMe, and now we're at almost 16,000. So it's been flying.
I've been talking. Go ahead.
It's also been just very inspiring to just see. As soon as I got on the GateWorld Discord, it was just everybody's engaged, everybody's excited. And just looking at past campaigns like this, they tend to, or not the campaigns, but past fan reactions. It's tended to only last about a week, and then kind of the studio kind of realizes, hey, this is the backlash is going to die off after about a week. That was not.
They're counting on it. I was thinking that was going to happen. I was genuinely thinking that was going to happen, and not hyperbole. That's not what's happening. So James and I, we've been talking a little bit. There's one particular thing that we want to do that I want to keep quiet because it's going to be kind of wild to see the reaction to it. And it isn't going to cost a ton, but it is still going to cost something. So I do want to make sure that everyone is aware of, if they have access to a couple of bucks, this GoFundMe website is still open. GoFundMe.com/save. Well, I just Google GoFundMe Stargate and it pops up. And it's really straightforward. All you have to do is go in here, and I'm just going to actually just do it on the screen here so that everyone can see how easy it is.
Just don't dox yourself.
Yeah.
Don't dox myself. Yeah. Well, I mean, my email's pretty public as it is, but
and we'll include a link to the GoFundMe in the GateWorld video description as well, so that folks can find it easily. This is the time. I mean, I have never in my life been the sort to sort of ask Stargate fans to open their wallets and support a cause, but there's such organization here. There's so much strategic thinking that's happening behind this. How do we get the studio's attention? How do we rattle their cage? How do we make sure that they know that this fan base is active? This fan base is exactly. Only they would use it. Now I'm frozen again.
That's weird. That happened to me as well. Yeah, go ahead. This fan base is exactly what now?
The fan base is activated. The fan base not only is not going away and is going to stay in the studio's face, but this fan base is a resource for a new show. This fan base is an asset to go out. Imagine if we took this organization and this global distribution and used it to promote a new Stargate series on Prime Video. Just imagine how effective we could be.
Just turning the positive energy in a different direction, actually toward a new show rather than to avoid. There's it gives me so much comfort to see that this is the fandom that is the one that can truly come together. People on the right and on the left, and whatever your political persuasion, whatever your lifestyle, however you feel about science fiction in general, if we come around, all these people who are here come around this particular show, and it has something for all of us. It has something to say about who we are as a people and where we are going into the future with our technology. And it's of course we are turning out to be a reasonably behaved group as a result of kind of all those ideas coming around together, because especially with the people who have been pushing this campaign forward, it isn't about us, it's about that, and that means something to all of us, and it doesn't have to mean the same thing, but we've been lucky with 354 hours of that thing, not including Infinity and Origins, but it's something that has staying power. And like Darren and I was talking with Jenny the other day, and like, so you're probably up there with me in that we've gone through 4 regimes at MGM, 4 of them. We're going to be around for number 5, statistically speaking. I wish all these people well. I'm sure they're going to be doing this for a long time. Yeah. But this is our brand.
Studio execs tend to not stay in their job for 30 years.
It means more to us than it does to them. And that's okay. But don't expect us to walk, because we're not. So I've just moved into a different headspace about it.
I appreciate that. I'm happy to hear you say that. Hellcats is helping us out over on the GateWorld chat, saying if you're looking for that GoFundMe, SaveStargate.com/donate. That'll take you straight to it.
SaveStargate.com. Thank you very much for that. Perfect. James, how long have you been a Stargate fan? How'd you fall in love with this property?
So
how old were you?
That I don't remember. I must have been around 13 or 14. Okay. So I have been waiting for a new Stargate for a little over half my life at this point. So it's important to me. 15 years I've been waiting for this thing, and that's. But I was not a very vocal Stargate fan. Like I got to be honest, I don't have a single. This is the only piece of memorabilia or any prop, anything I have, and I got this because of the.
Isn't that the QMX one?
An event.
Yeah, that's the quantum mechanics version, isn't it? Or is that?
I don't know.
I think so.
Like that looks like the Eagle Moss one.
It's Eagle Moss. Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. The QMX
like
one is
mine.
about the same size.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
That's a good one to have. If you're going to have one model, the 302 is
there
definitely
we go.
one of my favorites.
Awesome. No, it's a beautiful piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Prior to this, I didn't have anything. I don't have anything from any show that I like, but Stargate has always been my number one most favorite show. It's just I wasn't really willing to say it until now, until I realized how large this fan base was and how active. After 15 years, that's another thing that's really amazing to me. 15 years, we had 15 years to decay, or not decay is not the right word, but kind of forget about Stargate, and we're still this active. It's amazing. So prior to this, I didn't have anything, but I got into my dad used to watch The Next Generation with me, and that's how I kind of got into sci-fi. And then after that, I got into Atlantis. I saw an episode of Atlantis, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love this. So I watched all of Atlantis, and then I got into Universe. And then once Universe was over, I was like, hey, wait, there's this SG-1 thing. And so I started watching that. But Atlantis is number one for me, is that's where my heart still lives, is with Stargate Atlantis. So
in the Pegasus Galaxy.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
But I was not someone who was willing to speak up about my love for Stargate. Like if somebody had asked me on the street or something, I would have said, I love Psych, or I love Suits or White Collar. I would not have said it until now. So, but it's always been my number one most favorite show. And just, I don't know how to express how much I love Stargate, but it's always been there in me. So
let me ask you
yeah,
this.
Go ahead,
how has
Darren.
it been? David, you and I have both had this experience of moving from being fans of the show when we were younger, then doing work on GateWorld and other Stargate projects, to then cross that line into participating in fandom and getting to know other fans who love the show and spend time with them and go to conventions with them and have dinner with them. James, how has this been for you over the last few weeks, kind of crossing that threshold where now you're getting to meet other Stargate fans face to face and kind of live into that world of fandom?
Yeah, well, that I've never been to a con before. It's funny that I'm in this position and I'm just so.
You're making your own, brother.
Yeah, I guess so. And the LA event was where I was finally realized, hey, this is this is big enough that it's worth going to a con. So I'm going to be there at Comic-Con. I don't have a ticket, unfortunately.
You don't need to. You could. The grounds are outside. They're where you're going to want to be anyway. And look, I will be there. And if you want to go in for an hour, you can have mine. So
okay,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we may have to talk about where you're staying. So because it's kind of insane. Are you going to be there for the full week?
I will not.
Okay.
So that kind of leads in, I guess, to our events. We've done 2 events so far. We've done the LA, the banner flyover, then we've done the New York, the 2 billboards, the 2 digital billboards. And then our next event is in Europe. The details of that are still being worked out, but it looks like we're going to have a few events, one in the UK. So it's just a general European rally to show how big and how supportive the European fan base is in comparison to us Americans. And so it looks like we're going to have an event in the UK, France, and Germany. And then after that, we're going to have an event at Comic-Con Saturday and Sunday. So that's when I'm planning to be there, Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
And then about 2 weeks after that, we're going to have a space-related event. It's going to be kind of the culmination. So the idea is kind of step things up gradually each time. So we started at the studio, then we bring the message to America, then we bring it to Europe, and then to the world, and then to space. So it's a gradual incline.
It's so you don't have the European dates yet?
Sorry?
I apologize. You don't have the European dates yet, or you do?
So we had some plans for France initially. That the plan was to do Paris, but that's starting to it's got some issues we've got to work through. So France is you have to notify the authorities a month in advance, which we did, but they are just not communicative. So it's just hard to work with. So our plan is to kind of shift gears and do a more distributed event that where people don't have to travel as far too. So we should have a much greater turnout.
I really, really would love. There's a couple of pieces to this. Especially if it was like September, somewhere around there, I would really love to get the EMG 1/1 scale Stargate up at one of those events. The problem is it's $15,000 to do that, and I don't have the money. Right. So, I mean, I can check the sofa cushions, but Darren, to see if you can find anything. But that's like I would need a benefactor to pull that off, and then on top of that, I would need someone on the ground over there who could run that event, because EMG is not interested in doing that, but they would be willing to bring it. And that way, it's like and they're based in Switzerland. That would be a huge, monumental statement, and it would give fans a chance to get their picture taken with the replica. But I can only dream. But hey, if anyone out there has a spare $15,000 that they're willing to loan us to pull that off, that would be something just extraordinary to do. Regardless, when would you like to do Europe? When is your target? To do those different locations.
So the current target is July 15th, or sorry, July 11th.
Oh, so you're doing it? You're Europe?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not waiting at all. You're doing this really quickly.
Right. Yep. So, but it speaks to how large and engaged the European fan base is, that you do have to go to Europe to find a full scale, accurate replica of the Milky Way gate, and
leave it to the Swiss, of course.
Right.
I don't know about the second one, but yeah, it was. You're talking about the Atlantis gate,
the German gate.
Oh, there's a German replica gate as well?
Replica, but
okay.
You have in the US.
Are you going to these European events?
I haven't decided yet. It's a long flight. But for anybody who does, and anybody who's in Europe and wants to get involved with those now, please go to SaveStargate.com/RSVP. RSVP. So it's just it's super simple to remember. And then on Comic-Con, that event is, if you can't physically be at Comic-Con, you can still engage online by going to SaveStargate.com/day, just DAY. And so that is a Save Stargate Day. So that's kind of the culmination, and it happens to align with one of the anniversaries of Stargate. But the idea there is just to get out. This is the flood. This is the we're gonna make the most noise we possibly can on this day. Not only because we're at Comic-Con and it's gonna be a worldwide event, but we need to any platform you're on. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, it doesn't matter. And then it's also for creators. We'd love to have creators put out even a single video that day, just to get the message out, just to get the word out that we are strong and we're still very active. We want our show back. So just I'm not in love with that picture, but
I love it. Absolutely.
It looks good.
It was this close to making it the thumbnail.
That's cool.
dang it. I'm glad you didn't.
You've never done a Stargate convention. You've this is completely outside of your wheelhouse. Why are you doing this? What happened when you got that notification that the show was canceled?
I actually just lucked into, I had been checking maybe once a month. I would go onto my phone, go onto Google, and I'd look up Amazon Stargate and just check the news and just see if there was any new news. And I had been doing that for months, ever since I heard that Amazon bought the IP. And I was just tuned in, and and I hadn't looked at it in about a month, and I just happened to look that up the day after the message went out in Variety. So I was just in the right place at the right time, just happened to see that, and it was shocking. I was very disappointed. But I think it was maybe a couple hours later, I was like, do we really have to take no for an answer? Like,
Dude, the spirit moved you. I was like, all right, that's it.
Yeah, we got to do something. We got to show them somehow. And especially when again, I've been waiting more than half my life for a new Stargate. So
That's phenomenal.
I had to do something. But yeah, I think this is our opportunity to remind Amazon, not just that we're here, but that I think they've forgotten. I think they've kind of lost their roots a little bit. They used to be very engaged in, they used to do a lot of, I'm blanking on the term. I can't believe I'm doing this.
They're involved with their fandoms.
Yeah.
They nurtured those geese that laid the golden eggs.
Right. Yeah. They would do focus groups. They would do pre-screenings, but they've kind of lost their way and dropped that in the last 15 years. And I feel like there's an underlying message to this. Yes, we have our clear top of mind goals here of, we want our show back with canon. We want it to respect the canon. We don't want to lose that. That's very important to us. And then we want just amazing writing. We've had such good writers and directors as part of the Stargate franchise for so long. It's so, that's another reason it's so easy to love the show. It's because the writing is amazing. So we want that back, and we had a pretty good indication that was going to happen with Garrow and Malazzi. We had an amazing opportunity there to really have this hit out of the park. But we want our canon to be retained. We want amazing writing, and then we want really good actors. We want charismatic, funny actors. That was the core of SG1, I feel like. And so that's what those are the three core things we want back. But there is an underlying tone here of, we feel like the entertainment industry has kind of lost its way. It's this may not be a very this may not be a very popular opinion, but of all the studios I feel like could have picked this up, I'm honestly happy it's Amazon, because the other studios, we've seen failure after failure. Disney, Paramount, Netflix, they've all just they've all shown a track record of failure. Amazon hasn't. They hit it out of the park with Project Hail Mary. They hit it out of the park.
Yes, they did.
With the first season of Reacher. We could go on and on. They have the talent. They have amazing writers. They have this people with the skills to really do a good job here. So if it's, and I know this is not a popular opinion, but this is the way I feel. If it were going to be anybody, I'm glad it's Amazon, and they can listen. Amazon is just a company full of smart, capable people, and anybody can be misled with data. Anybody. And then if they want data, if they're using data, that's great. But our underlying idea here is to communicate to them that you can't just use internet data. There's another set of data here. The internet data only tells you what people clicked on yesterday, it doesn't tell you why they clicked on it. It doesn't give you the underlying motivations. Doesn't clear up all the biases that are going to focus and constrain your data. So they can look at that all day, but it doesn't, there's so much they miss in that. And there's one other big piece of information, big piece of data that they're ignoring. And that's the actual fan base, direct communication with the fan base. So that's really at the core of it. That's all we want, is just a dialogue with Amazon. I'd be happy if they said anything at this point, but obviously we want to hear, hey, it's back on, Garrow's Stargate's back on. But I'd be happy to hear, hey guys, we gave it the old college try, and we did run focus groups with Stargate fans and non-Stargate fans, and it just didn't appeal to the non-Stargate fans. I mean,
only that's not what happened, but yeah.
Sorry?
Only that's not what happened, but yeah, it's
right.
I think that Apple has been extraordinary with its television. I have been blown away by its sci-fi. My two favorites right now are Severance and Pluribus, and they're
Silo.
Silo is Silo Apple as well.
Yeah.
Wow, there you go. But Project Hail Mary hit it out of the park, and not only does it show that original IPs, although it comes from a novel, obviously, still have growth. But it also, I love this. I could weep over the feelings of a rock. It didn't have to look like me. I kind of loved that, like, personally. But it was just, and the fact that the other two films that I have just been blown away by this year are Backdoors and Obsession. Just original content. I saw Obsession twice the weekend that it came out, and I was like, this is going to be a hit. And boy, it just keeps on going. If you're not listening to what your fandoms are saying is good, and brand new fandoms as well, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
At the very least, you're going to look like you have egg on your face.
Yeah, but that's
we still believe
101. That's why it seems so odd to me. Is that's communication 101. You listen when you're giving a speech, you listen to your audience, you look at the individuals, and you go person by person, and you incorporate their feelings into your speech. You update live as you're going. It's a feedback loop.
But you don't have to be held hostage by them. You don't have to absolutely, I must do what you say, but you need to demonstrate that you listen, especially in a franchise that's, if you include the movie, over 30 years old.
Yeah.
Well, James makes a great point that Amazon seemed to be that studio. They were that studio for a while, and we know that the execs who were working with Martin to develop the show before they left earlier this year, they were on board. And these are studio execs who were willing to let him make the show that he wanted to make, right? Recognizing it's going to appeal to the existing fan base, but also has to be accessible to new people, because you got to grow the fan base. You got to grow the audience. That's what they were doing. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you, James. If they had come out and said, okay, we know we greenlit this show, we did some more sort of focus groups and data analytics, and we just determined that the audience is not there yet, it's not time, et cetera, however that gets explained. Okay, I can see that there is a argument to be made. There's some sort of data argument that could be made.
Right.
But this is not that. This is just a new executive comes in and goes by his gut and the metrics of other legacy IP that's not doing so well right now.
And what he likes and what he doesn't like as well.
What he likes and what he doesn't like. And again, if it doesn't go any deeper than the surface level of the data, right? If you look at Mandalorian and Grogu, for example, having a soft theatrical relative to Star Wars, right?
Very
Star Wars
soft.
film that doesn't make $1 billion or close to it. If you don't go any deeper into the analytics than that, if you look at Starfleet Academy and you don't go any deeper than, okay, what were the numbers for season 1? Why did the studio cancel it? you're not going to get the whole story. And that's what this feels like. It feels like a cancellation decision that's just based on kind of a gut instinct and a shallow glance at the nature of legacy IP without really understanding Stargate as a unique property, to say nothing of its fan base and how activated we are globally, but the unique nature of Stargate as a property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if they want a broad appeal, if they want to pull in a younger fan base, I'm a perfect example. I'm not extremely young, but I just turned 29. And I grew up with Atlantis at the time, at the tail end, I think, of when it was airing. And I loved it. So, and I still feel like those, every time I rewatch it, it's still so engaging. It's still amazing, but
it's chicken soup, man. We're willing to fight for our chicken soup.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, man, Darren, I've got 1,000 people on my channel willing to stare at our mug. What about you?
GateWorld right now is 287 I'm looking at.
Okay. I
keep clicking on this because we are activated. We are boots on the ground doing stuff, but there are fans and interested parties all over the internet who are going to keep checking out streams like this and seeing what's going on. And I think that's the bigger audience that Amazon is chasing and doesn't really know how to reach right now.
Right. Well, when this whole thing, when I heard that Amazon had acquired MGM Studios, I was really opposed to, so I really do believe they're bringing it. So this fan base is a little bit divided. I gotta be honest. We are not divided politically. We are very united politically, we're not, that's not something that divides us, but we are a little divided in the belief that this is a good thing. I hear it all the time. People are saying, oh, well, I'm glad Amazon is canceling it because they would have messed it up. First of all,
that's okay.
It's not dead. It is coming back. It's coming back no matter what. That's a part everybody has to understand. Amazon acquired this IP. It's an $800 million IP. Yes, Star Trek and Star Wars are in the billions.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're not questioning its size.
Right. Yeah. And so for them to drop this IP is, beyond unreasonable. They know what they have, and they are going to bring this back. But this campaign, this effort is about bringing it back in the right way. It's not about bringing it back. It's bringing it back in the right way.
That's right.
Maintaining canon, maintaining great writers, and that's the whole idea.
Absolutely.
If you are worried out there in the viewing audience, if you are worried that a major studio like Amazon is going to mess up Stargate, James' point is exactly right. You should be on the side of the campaign, because Martin Garrow's Stargate is miraculously the version that is not screwed up, that is not modernized, whatever baggage we want to import into the language of a modern audience or a modern show. It's what Amazon might do with it next. Cancel Martin's show, go back to the drawing board, reboot it, get somebody involved who was not involved in the original series, that has something brand new to do with the IP. That's the kind of show that I'm worried about. Now we're starting from square one and trying to figure out, okay, what, if not Martin's show, if not this fan base, if not this canon, what is Amazon going to do? And if you're worried that Amazon's going to screw up Stargate, that's the version of the show you should be worried about.
There is no guarantee moving forward. Let me park that idea for a second and bring another one to the fore. Let's just say that, for the sake of argument, that no one from the previous productions are going to be coming forward to helm the next one. Okay, not ideal, but fine. That was basically the track that Darren and I were considering we were moving down on before this whole thing happened. Is it my first preference? No. But does that mean that I will not watch it? No, it does not mean that I will not watch it. But it must be sincere in treating the original content with reverence. What we're seeing right now with a lot of IP are people who are coming in and saying that, all right, I am now in charge of this next iteration of whatever this title is. The people who came before were backward or were misaligned in their thinking in some way. And
or just their time has passed.
That's right. And we now have the right answers because we are just correct in our thinking. 50 years from now, we're going to be looking back on a pretty backward society. I can only hope that whoever comes next to helm the next thing can treat the IP and be smart enough to treat the IP with a certain amount of dignity and respect, and treat the fandom with a little bit of appreciation. And that's basically the only thing that I can truly ask for at this point. And to make sure that someone who is coming in is going to create this new science fiction, is, whenever they decide to do that, is going to be a person who believes that humanity has potential and is not going to be a person who hates humanity. If you think that we deserve to be destroyed, you have no business doing this. And that's my real fear. I'm seeing these movies come out with all these anti-heroes who feel that you go, and I watched a certain movie recently that I'm not going to go into great detail on, a superhero film very recently, and I walked away thinking that, that they have no values. They have nothing that makes me turn to the kids that I go and see this movie with and say, be like that person. I don't want them to emulate them. That's what we're getting a lot of right now. And that's my fear about whatever's going to come next, is that we're going to get something that is once again trying to deconstruct our the way that we look at the world and show, well, you know what? Orcs have families too. No, they don't. They're representations of evil. That doesn't make sense. You are truly walking on the grave of the spirit of that idea. And it's not right, man.
Yeah.
So they have every intention of moving forward with the property at some point. You know what? Like Picard said in Measure of a Man, you wanted a chance to make a new show. Here it is. Make it a good one.
And Stargate is not a cynical show at all. It's
exactly right.
It's all about hope and cooperation, and Amazon has shown that they can do that with Reacher and with Project Hail Mary. It was not those were not cynical shows. Those were not cynical movies. Yeah, we need, that's one of the big things we need to retain, and we need this. We need that. If we've needed that at any time, it's now. We've needed to have hope about the future right now. This is the time for it.
James, what do you need? You got 1,500 people watching. What do you need right now?
I need everybody to engage in whatever way you can. We've got so many different avenues to send a message to Amazon. We've got Twitter, we've got TikTok, we've got Facebook. There's also, and specifically on Save Stargate Day, which again, go to savestargate.com/day. It's going to be July 25th, and that's the same day as the Comic-Con event. But there's so many ways you can engage. And there's this new cool thing that I just learned about today. Again, it just keeps hitting me how amazing this community is. I like every couple days there's something new that I'm like, wait, what? We did that too? There's a I can't remember his name. but there's a guy in the French community who created this tool where, if you've ever heard of Reddit's r/place, where everybody gets a little pixel and you can draw a community picture, he did that with for Stargate.
Guys, can you fact check James in the Dial the Gate chat here? I want that information.
I think it's SaveStargate.com/pixelgate, but it's connected to Twitter. So if you connect it with your Twitter, the more you tweet, the more pixels you have to be able to add to this global art.
It'll pull it into that art. That's cool.
And
that's amazing.
Just keep doing things like that. So okay. One other thing, get on the GateWorld Discord, because that's where everybody's at talking about this constantly. So just get on there and join the community. This was not me a month ago, but now it is, and it can be you too. You can join in the fight too. I mean, it's I don't want to call it a fight, because we have a common goal with Amazon. They want it to be huge. They want everybody to love Stargate.
That's true.
We do too. We have a common goal. I want to see the Tari Earth symbol on the backs of cars everywhere. That's what I want to see. I see that with Star Wars. I want to see it with Stargate too, and I know Amazon does too.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm amazed by the organizers. I mean, we if you're on Twitter and you're following the SaveStargate hashtag, you see all the activity going on. You see the photos of Times Square event and what's coming up. But the organizers behind the scenes are a machine. I've been super busy lately getting ready to move house, but I'll just pop into the GateWorld Discord every now and again and look at both that public Save Stargate channel, but also there's a coordination channel for kind of leaders in the campaign, and it's every single day. It's just strategy. It's like a situation room. It's like a war room. They are active. They are plugged in. They are strategizing. They're planning what's next. They're sharing resources, and they're setting aside their egos to do it. It's so exciting. This is the other billboard. Yeah, let's see that again. This was the other billboard in Times Square.
Yeah. These are screenshots of a video feed that you guys built. James, who did this?
There were two artists. So there's been so much art that the community has come together and create on this. It was either Daz on Discord or Art of J. Kelly, I think.
Okay.
They created both of these billboard art pieces, and they were voted on by the community. So
very nice.
Yeah.
I have a hankering for donuts for some reason right now. I can't imagine why, but anyway, no, this is really awesome. And thanks to you, thanks to them, thanks to Hellcats. This is turning into a summer that I was not expecting. We've got a ways to go. And at this point, what I'm looking for is a response, because it would acknowledge that we exist. And right now, we haven't had any of that. And it's like,
could be a good thing.
Come on.
I see it as a good thing, because
you think so?
They're thinking. I should add the LA flyover. We had this banner. I don't know if you want to go full screen. We had this banner, and there are some signatures on it. By the way, we're shipping this around the world. This will be at Comic-Con. This will be one of the locations in Europe. We're going to keep gathering signatures and plaster. You can see some signatures over there, over here. Anyways, we had, you can see it's got a QR code on it. In our initial, when we put out a form, yep, and it was in New York too. Yep, gained some more signatures from New York. So this has been moving around with the campaign as it's been escalating and growing. So I should add though that we've had some forms. That QR code takes you to a form, and on the statistics on that, there are some metrics when someone accesses that form. And typically, when we were doing RSVP forms, most of them were on mobile phones. We could tell that most people were accessing them from a mobile phone. But this one was accessed mostly from desktops. mostly from, so the idea is that we did have this banner directly below their main building facade. It's glass. They can look down at us. They did look down at us.
Sure.
And so the implication is that somebody in Amazon took a picture of it and shared it internally. I don't know whether they use Teams or what, but they shared it internally because that's explains why it might have been accessed by desktop so often. Because what do you do when you see a QR code on a banner? You take a picture of it with your phone and you access it on your phone. So if it was being accessed on desktop, they must have shared it internally. And yeah, so they hear us. They're listening.
For sure.
And I think this is a good thing that we haven't heard a response for this long, because they're taking this carefully and they're thoughtful about this. Amazon is full of smart, thoughtful people, and we know they have the talent to do good shows. So yeah, we're just waiting for a response, and
they have people who are moved by the data. I'm with you. I would like a positive response at some point. I would like an acknowledgement at some point. But in these first few weeks, I kind of like the silence. To me, sounds like they're nervous,
right?
Like they are paying attention.
Yeah,
it is deafening.
Yeah.
And they're generating data, right? All these tweet storms, all these
this
events,
is true.
Generating
anyone
that they're going to be looking at.
If anyone is going to have access to that, it's going to be those people who have who are also connected to AWS.
Yeah.
So
Amazon.
Judith Remkis wants to know, James, how well are the different organizers working together worldwide? Has everything been pretty smooth? And I know you do not represent all of them. I'm just saying that in this moment, we are asking you to speak for them.
For the most part, yeah. It's a little bit, the difficulty is always getting across language barriers, but it's also very hard to tell because the GateWorld Discord is in English for the most part. There are so many English speakers there, but I'm seeing tons of people from across the world, people from Norway, people from the UK, a lot of people from the UK, and people from France who are just, speaking in English. So it's really hard to tell unless you start talking with them and you're like, oh yeah, you're not in the US, are you? So it's almost like the communities have all quieted down a little bit in their groups and have coalesced around the GateWorld Discord. So I really can't say, but we are working very closely. And I just yesterday, I reached out to the German community, their Discord, and some people on Twitter who are also major German organizers. And they're all like, yeah, let's do some stuff. So yeah, I gotta say yes. We globally, and that's what we've got to communicate to Amazon, is this is a global fan base just waiting for reactivation. That's all.
That's it. That's it. We're on the launch pad and we're fueled and ready to go. Lori Steinley, any plans to be at Chicago Fan Expo in August? Kurt Russell will be there. That might be a nice tie-in.
Okay.
I could go up. I could get it August. I'm going to have to see when that is, because I could go up there and do that. Half my family's in Chicago. So I'd be right back, guys. So that could be cool. That could be really cool if we could get him to even hold up a little thing.
Yeah. Dragon Con for sure.
Yes.
Really
I'm seeing mentions of Dragon Con over in the GateWorld chat. That's early September.
It's Memorial Day weekend. Or it's Labor Day weekend.
But it all comes down to funds at some point. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. Our ability to do stuff like this, print these banners and bring these banners and bring flags and do big flashy stuff like fly an aerial banner and buy billboards. That's fund dependent. But really being at a Comic-Con organizing something is not. That's just
correct.
All communicating and getting together. And the best way you can do that is join the GateWorld Discord.
That's it.
And internationally, we do, Hellcats is reminding us, we do now have a French channel on GateWorld in the Discord, and we're open to creating channels for other languages for those who are not strong English speakers or want to kind of coordinate locally. We're just looking for mods to open new channels for other languages.
That's the real trick, isn't it? So, yeah, that's I definitely, from the beginning when Garrow first announced this to us, to Darren and myself, it was very much like, okay, expand the tent. Do not make this English only. Expand this to every, language that we can. And the French-speaking audience is a huge group. I can speak to the fact that if I can pull up an image here really quick.
At announcement week, we live streamed for like 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was, we knew how to party.
The Dial the Gate team brought through fans from all our creators and friends from all over the world.
That's right. No, the French community is so amazing and strong. And I haven't shown this, but this is me and Rick. If I can pull this up here. Just a second. And of course, my computer is computing. So, but this is me and RDA at the convention in Metz, and the presence here of Stargate fans was absolutely enormous, because I don't know what and I've mentioned this before, I don't know what it is in the water over there, but that is a huge Stargate community. And the fact that they are mobilized with us and that we as a fandom globally are united in pursuing this thing is only reassuring me that more than ever, even since really Garrow's announcement of the new show, this fandom is not going anywhere. Period. So, I'm thrilled in so many ways. Yeah, I feel like I've been knifed in the back. I do, but the fact of the matter is that we're here to stay.
And the message is not angry, right? As James said, the message is not negative. It's, I mean, some people are angry and they're going to
you're going to have the occasional butthole for sure. Yeah, get over it.
But the overall message of the campaign is positive. It's look at what you have here. Don't screw this up. It's not too late to change this decision. Look at what you have here.
Yep, it's our job as the existing fan base to help guide them in the right direction. And
or at the very least, cheer for what it is that we want.
Yes.
We used to have shows that would have 6 or 7 episodes airing, and then they were writing the back half, and they could go on and see, well, this is not really working that much. Let's go ahead and tweak this later on. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
We're so cut off from our audiences. We being the creators of something. Yeah.
I have a very visceral example of that. Right before this whole thing happened, right before this whole thing hit the fan, I was watching rewatching. I'd seen it years and years and years ago, but forgot about it. The new Battlestar Galactica. And the first season just was painful for me. Then maybe that's not a typical experience.
Ron Moore's Galactica, the first season?
The new, I don't remember who it was, but the
2004?
Yeah.
Yeah, the new one. Okay.
Not Caprica, but yeah.
Okay.
5 seasons. And it was just hard to watch for me because there were so many things that just didn't line up. Like character consistency was a big problem to me. It was like Adama would behave not like Adama sometimes. And I'm like, are you a leader? Have you learned from experience or not? It's very confusing. And for example, the machinist who shot Valeri shot the Raptor pilot, the Cylon. I'm like, where did that come from? That she has no motive. What happened there? And then it's just it was very obvious at the beginning of season 2. It just hit home. They've started paying attention. They've started
Mhm.
listening because all the emotions came in and lined up. The actors just started to behave. Their characters started to behave consistently. Adama became Adama consistently,
Mhm.
and just it
I
and
do
I looked
think,
into it afterwards. And if it
yeah,
was Ron Moore, I can't remember the
Ron Moore.
showrunner's name, but he apparently he has a strong history of communicating with his audience. He would go into forums and interact with them constantly. If that's not a
Mhm.
feedback loop of communication with your audience, I don't know what is. So
Mhm.
that's a very visceral example of how this works, how communicating with your fan base, your audience works. I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm not saying Amazon shouldn't do that with non non-Stargate fans and try and bring them in. They really should, but they should communicate with us too. They could have both pieces of this
Yeah,
pie.
both.
They could have their cake and eat it too. And
You really can.
yeah, it's
And you can
totally
get some good
possible.
PR out of it. You can get some good press from treating fans right.
Mhm.
Hey, before we move on, Smoothie42 is saying, just join the stream. Is there a list of actions for us to complete? Go to SaveStargate.com, and there's
Yes.
lots of things you can do there. You can sign the petition. You can join the next tweet storm. You can chip in a few bucks at the GoFundMe, all at SaveStargate.com.
Don't go over your skis, folks.
Yep.
Be reasonable here. Don't turn into like myself and James. Oh, now what, coach? Hot damn. It's like, go easy,
But there are
do
some
what
cool
you can
things
do.
planned. There are some cool things planned. Where
That's
David
right.
and I decided that we wanted to include the GoFundMe in this live stream, which is abnormal for us because we know that there are some cool
Correct.
things that are coming up that are going to take a little bit of a spend on fandom's part that we think are going to have an impact one way
Yeah.
or another. They're going to.
I am not used to going hat in hand to you guys for here's I need you to consider giving me for something that I'm not going to reveal to you yet. That's abnormal for us to do that, but there are a couple of things that it's like we've got some feedback and it's like, ooh, yeah, we need to do this and we're going to do it. So if you have the ability to give, we appreciate it. So I don't like being clandestine, but there are a couple that are a little bit more strategic. So, yeah. Questions. John Morganier, how do we keep momentum going? What can we do day to day or week to week to just keep Stargate in discussion? Look, that hashtag is so key. There is a like I've been demonstrating on this B-roll here, there is a gamification aspect to this now. When they release something, to good-naturedly parallel it, like the Thomas the Tank Engine, for crying out, there was a teal coming down, down the tracks, for Pete's sake. That was funny. There's so much that can be, like this one that I made earlier today, and I think someone else already beat me to it, but this was the one. Whoops, guys, sorry about that. This was the one that I just did. This was on the news. So things like this, being clever, finding whatever is in current events and saying, yes, see this, and oh, by the way, hashtag SaveStargate. That's fun, and that's gamifying it, and it's making people laugh, and I'm sure there's some people in Amazon going like, oh my God, geez. But come on, give us a smirk.
And
come on.
Guess what?
So
guess what Amazon MGM Studios is paying attention to right now? They're paying attention to their new shows and movies that they're launching right now. And how are the analytics tracking on that? And what are people on social saying about that? So the Vala thing for the launch of Elle, the new Legally Blonde series. I mean, I feel kind of attached to Elle as a series launch because that was an MGM property. Right. Not a whole lot of overlap with Stargate fans per se, but it was an MGM IP that the studio bought. They put into production, and now I don't know how many months later, the first season of the show is done and it's out, and the marketing push has ramped up, and so I feel like 9 months earlier, and there's Stargate. If Stargate had gotten a little bit further down the track and had shot some episodes, then they might have just gone ahead and let the first season go. Now we have Elle, that is an MGM property. And so, the marketing push for Elle is in full force right now. That's a great place to post positive Stargate messages.
That's a great point, Darren. Yeah.
And remember, when you tweet, there's the there's the pixel art thing, and I'm not 100% sure about all the logistics, but I think you get, for each tweet, you get a pixel, so you can help.
Oh, that's
draw.
cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. This was an idea like a little over a week ago, and I just didn't hear anything about it, and then today it just blindsided me. Hey, wait, somebody built this. This is so cool.
That's right.
I think his name is Jeremy in the French community who created this.
Amazon is plugged into every single metric.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, they do love likes. So if you are behind this campaign with us, this is kind of self-serving, but do please hit that like button. It does make a difference, and will continue to help the channel grow its audience. But if you have something to say about this, say it in the comments below. The comments translate to the comments mean something greater than the likes do, because they translate into engagement. There's the word. I managed to pluck it from the sky. And if bringing this show back is important to you, every time that you do that makes a difference. So if you have something to say in the GateWorld YouTube channel or in the Dial the Gate YouTube channel in these videos, put them in the comments below while you're talking, while you're watching us yap. So.
And remember to make it clear how wholesome of an audience we are, how cooperative of a community we are. And how,
it's a family show.
Yeah. Okay. That hits me real hard. It really hurt me that SGU, I couldn't show that to my family. And we just need the next show for them to come back to their roots and maintain it as a family show. And I do have a feeling that some of my family members have seen a little bit of SGU and dropped Stargate entirely because of it.
To be fair, you couldn't watch the Showtime version with them either, if we're talking the age that I think that you're talking. But yeah, SGU is a soapbox for me, so I'm going to say agree to disagree. But I do understand where you're coming from with the kids, for sure. This is, James, this is awesome. I really appreciate you taking so much time as the representative this go around for our simulcast to talk with us. I'm at 1,700 views, Darren. This is kind of absurd. I really, really appreciate everyone who is tuning in. Darren, do you have any other questions on your side?
A lot of questions about just sort of people who are checking out the stream and want us to recap what's going on. Ocean Stars asked for a link to the GoFundMe, and we've got a short, easy link for you to remember. If you've got a few bucks you want to throw at the fan campaign, it's SaveStargate.com/donate.
That's right. Those links are in the description below for the Dial the Gate video as well. So.
But, speaking of family, I grabbed this comment earlier at the beginning of our stream from Janine Wilson, 3508, who wrote, "Stargate means family to me. When my older kids were little, Stargate night was our date night. The world stopped for an hour and we spent time together watching it when it was on. Happy memories."
That's it.
And that's it. That's the fandom, right? That's why we love this franchise so much. That's why it's special to us. It unites us with each other. It helps us make new friends around the world, but it also has helped us connect with our families.
Yep. And
that's correct.
Every series, it's been a family too. It's the SG1, the team was a family. Atlantis team was a family. And SGU towards the end became a family. It's really, it's family focused.
I want to read this into the record of the Oral History Project so that it'll be in the transcripts. About, when was this? Middle of last month, Mario Azzopardi, Stargate's SG-1 Atlantis director, he directed Children of the Gods, emailed me, and he just shared a message with me, and I asked his permission to share it on social media, and so I did. And I haven't actually mentioned it verbatim on the channel before. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd like to share what Mario said, since Darren was also sharing a comment or two he saw. Yeah, and these are Azzopardi's thoughts. These are his words. Devastated, angry, saddened. I cannot fully explain what I feel today. This is wrong. It's not merely disappointing. It is a profound mistake by a system increasingly cut off from the very people it claims to serve. What we are seeing is not creative courage. It is disrespect dressed up as reinvention. It is the arrogance of entitled executives who believe that they can take beloved source material, strip it of what made it matter, discard the lessons that built its audience, and replace them with distorted reinterpretation designed to serve agendas rather than story. This is not evolution. This is vandalism. Stargate earned its fans because it respected wonder, intelligence, courage, loyalty, sacrifice, humor, and the bond between characters and audience. You do not casually throw that away. You do not abandon the soul of something loved by millions and then act surprised when the people who loved it feel betrayed. We have seen this pattern before. Snow White, Odyssey, and other recent examples have shown what happens when decision makers confuse ownership with understanding. They might control the rights, the budgets, and the boardrooms, but they do not own the meaning these stories have carried for generations of viewers. I directed the pilot. I know what Stargate meant at the beginning. I know what it was built on. And I know that what hurts most today is not simply that a show has been canceled. It is that the people entrusted with protecting its legacy appear to have forgotten why that legacy existed in the first place. To the fans, your anger is not misplaced. Your disappointment is not childish. Your grief is not nostalgia. It is the natural response of people who recognize when something they loved has been mishandled by those who should have known better. Stargate deserved respect. So did you. Mario Azzopardi. What do I possibly say after that? Back
really
at you.
Beautiful. Yeah, back at you.
James,
I
thank
would
you.
like to think that in Amazon's case, it's not active disrespect, but just lack of understanding that they didn't.
It's Darren, help me with this. It's a result of being inconsiderate. That it was just, well, let's let Variety or Hollywood Reporter, let's just let them tell the tale, rather than coming to the fandom that was brought in, this mug and that mug, to announce this thing, craft like some kind of statement to them, letting them know, look, we're not going to be able to move forward with this, but we do respect you. I hate that word, respect. Everyone's obsessed with respect now. You're not owed respect necessarily. You're owed dignity.
Well,
We
Martin
didn't
got the
have
short
any
stick,
dignity.
Right?
They treated Martin with indignity.
Give us a state.
You know?
Martin is still one of their partners. He's still under contract, and he's going to
That's
be put on
correct.
other shows. So
Yeah,
give a
he's being
public
paid,
statement
so
that
too
gives
bad.
Martin a little due diligence, a little
Right.
Give him his due. That says we're
That's right.
excited to continue working with Martin on another project, et cetera, et cetera. Stargate's going to go back into development and whatever it is, right? Doctor Who has just been put out to tender for other creatives to come in and pitch for it. However you want to express it with Stargate, or not at all. Just say we're going back into development. Martin deserved that for sure. Fans deserve
The Hollywood pipeline is disintegrating and dying. It's a catastrophe. This show was not going to be filmed in LA. It was not going to be filmed in Canada. It was going to be filmed in Europe. They are in survival mode. We know they are in survival mode. We all know it. No one's talking about it. That industry was sliced in half after COVID and after the protests. I am on record on this show saying, the protesters, they may get what they want, but as a result, half of them are going to be brought to the table and the other half are going to go to the soup line. And within a couple of years, they're going to be in another industry. They are suffering. More suffering is to come. We all know that. You have a show with a loyal fan base around the world that is primed and positioned to bring something positive back into the universe, to make good ripples. Make a good decision. Doesn't have to be, everything that we want, but try, acknowledge us, give us the dignity of that. That's my soapbox. Anything else, guys?
I appreciate it. As I said in my open letter to Amazon a couple
yes.
of weeks
Oh
ago
my God.
on GateWorld.net,
pull that up.
This is in their best interests. It's in the studio's best interest to bring back Martin's show and pay attention to fans, because again, I feel like the way that this decision was made was to just kind of lump Stargate into the giant bucket of legacy IP, old existing franchises. And if you're going to be good at your job, you need to dig a little deeper. You need to treat each franchise, each IP that you've been entrusted with on its own terms. You need to do your due diligence. You need to understand the fandom, understand the old shows, why they worked, why they went off the air when they did, why they haven't come back in the last 15 years. And not just lump Stargate into the giant bucket of, well, it's legacy IP. Legacy IP isn't doing well right now, so we're going to do something else.
Yeah, it's not doing well right now because it's largely being worn as a skin suit.
But it's in the studio's best interest to do this and to get it right.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. Look at Spider-Man, for Pete's sake. I mean, you bring passion and talent to a property, and you deliver something that they love, people will tune in and watch. The box office receipts are there to prove it. I mean, every time I turn around, we cracked the biggest number of dollar pre-sales for events. Year over year, the theater going audience is declining. They're declining because they have nothing to root for. They have no one to root for. A bunch of anti-heroes. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, they're fun to watch. To quote Rob Cooper, people love watching competence. But we also love watching people we can aspire to be like. That wasn't Kara Zor-El in this last film, and the ticket sales are proving it. But it is people like Ryland Grace and Rocky, and the ticket sales prove it. So Amazon, give us people that we can root for. They can be broken, we can certainly, go through those stories with you, but give us something that we can believe in together, because we need that, especially now. So, James,
thank you, sir.
Glad to doing the Lord's work, brother.
What you've been doing, and really excited to see what's happened next. And I'm really excited to see that there's a whole summer planned and beyond. If Amazon doesn't make things right, there are plans. Fans are not going anywhere.
Yeah. And if you want to get involved, you want to be active, even if it's just online, go to SaveStargate.com, get on the GateWorld Discord. That's where everybody's at. Everybody's working together. So just everybody, and it's not all about Save Stargate. Everybody is there are side conversations going on all the time over there. I didn't know until just a few days ago that there were multiple books about. So here's another thing. I hate to drag this on longer, but there's.
Oh, please drag.
Okay, well then I'll do it. There's, if Amazon needs any indication that this universe that has been built through SG-1 and Atlantis and Universe has infinite stories still to tell, they can look at those books. Those I didn't know about those until just a few days ago.
The
But
Fandemonium novels.
Fandemonium novels? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many more stories to tell still. And all you have to do is communicate with the fan base, communicate with the audience, establish a dialogue, and you can give them what they want. You can tailor it to new audiences. You can get the best of both worlds. And I truly believe here we can bring the entertainment industry back. Maybe not Netflix, but because I haven't had a Netflix account in 5+ years, because every time a new show starts, I get one season, even if I love it. Most of the time I don't love it, but it's not worth the emotional investment, because it's going to be gone in the season.
Oh,
It's
God,
so
$18.99. I totally hear you. They do love their guillotine over there.
Yeah. And they just imagine what they could do if they didn't do that. If they did use more than just internet data and they began physically actually communicating with their audience, they could get so much more out of it. And
you have to cultivate your fandoms.
Cultivate your fandom and trust your creators, right? Because a lot of what we've been talking around is the fact that the landscape of television is changing, and streamers are changing it because it's not just your traditional content producers like the old studio system or TV networks that are in the streaming game right now. It's data analytics companies. It's Amazon and Netflix and Apple. Be like Apple, Amazon. Apple seems to be trusting their creators.
That's it.
Hiring good people and then giving them reign to make stuff that's interesting, that's original, that connects with fan bases. Trust your creators and your fans.
And if they want to appeal, another reason or another way they can appeal to the younger audience, I think it's clear that the younger audience prefers honest stories, sincerity in their stories. And that was there all along in SG1 and SGA. The writers did such an amazing job of communicating with us, breaking down the fourth wall and being honest with their audience. And if you want to capture the younger audience, that's what I love. That's another major thing I love about Stargate, is how honest it is, and how you feel a connection with the actors, because the story is just true. It's just true to humanity.
That's why it's evergreen. That's why it doesn't die, because it's perpetually the narratives perpetually reinvent themselves within our lives as we move forward. And what was it that Rick said? Never, always trust your audience, or never. What was it he said, Darren? Never underestimate your audience. They're generally thoughtful, intelligent people who respond positively to quality entertainment.
Oh yeah, Mitchell and 200.
Yeah, he took Rick's line. So, James, thank you so much, brother. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person here really soon. So, don't know when exactly that's going to be. What state are you in?
I just moved
you're
from
in
Texas to Denver. To
Colorado. You're in Colorado. Okay, sweet. I'll be in Estes Park in August. So, running through Denver, I may have to say hello if we don't meet sooner. Darren, you have anything else to add?
No, just for the GateWorld audience who's looking for stuff and why I've been so quiet and where I'm going. I can finally let folks know that I have a new full-time job and I'm moving house this summer. So very excited in the GateWorld household, but it also means I'm going to tear this desk down as soon as we're done with this stream. And this is the last time you're going to see this background, unless I take a picture of it and do a green screen. This is the last time you'll see this particular configuration of this background on GateWorld, because I'm moving house this summer. It's very exciting, and I'll be back online as soon as they hook up the wires and tubes and connect me back to the interwebs. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well, do you have anyone to thank before we let you go here?
Yeah, big thanks to all of GateWorld supporters, of course, channel members, hugely supportive. So important, both to David and I and our channels, and what we're able to pull off week by week, month by month to keep you all informed and hopefully entertained along the way. We might be going back into the void between Stargate series, but we have some big plans for stuff that we want to do moving into 2027. Thanks to the GateWorld Discord team. James has been plugging the Discord really well here. There's a link to the Discord in the video description on GateWorld, or you can look for the little Discord link at the bottom of GateWorld.net. It's there too. And then, of course, to all our mods who are here, everybody's kind of been popping in and out today. Jeff from Suns and Shadows was here earlier. Red Xeon's here now. Hellcats, Raj Luthra. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you being here with us live. This is, it's not, I feel like this is not the most entertaining kind of live stream, but it's important. And this is
Wasn't meant to be.
what it looks like when Stargate fandom pulls together and says, okay, we got a mission. We have something to do here. And we want to be involved in doing it. So that was the goal for this stream, is to do an update, to get a chance to show off James face to face and make sure everybody knows that people are still working on this.
That's correct. I cannot thank my captain and co-captains enough, Anthony and Marcia. You guys really did yeoman's work on this one to pull this off and bring everyone together. I'm so thankful as well for my Patreon members who allow me to pull this thing off week in and week out. The live streams are returning. We have a whole list of them that are now up on dialthegate.com, and we're not slowing down. I'm back in the saddle and we're moving forward. If you enjoyed this episode, please do click that like button. If you have a thought about this, even if it's just hashtag #SaveStargate, please put a comment in the description below. It is all collated data, and Amazon is paying attention. It's in their face, whether they like it or not. I am still standing firmly with this company. I think that they have the ability to make the right call, and I'm nice and cozy, and I know a lot of you guys are too. We're not going anywhere, and so we're just going to hang. But one way or another, we love this franchise and we're here to stay. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gates and for GateWorld.net. Thanks once again. Really, really do appreciate James for coming in and joining us. And we'll see you on the other side. Bye, guys.